It's the Sean Widmer Podcast. It's a journal by someone that just really doesn't like to write.
Today on the podcast, it's sort of the summer kickoff. We're doing the summer kickoff because Ryan had time, and my cousin Ryan is my summer guy. I will always think of summer when I think, I'll always think of Ryan when I think of summer. And so we're going to talk to Ryan today about some summer things, and we're going to talk to him about a fast food issue he's having. And the question I'm going to ask you now, maybe I ask it later. Maybe we ask it right after we get done talking to Ryan. But I have a question for you for the comments. For those of you who do the comments, you can do those. By the way, at the end of every episode, we do comments. You can do that on Sean's Life over at seanslife.com. And that will get your comment in. You can, if you're listening on Spotify, go to today's episode and you can comment there on the Q&A section, and that will get it there. Or on YouTube. On YouTube will be another way you can do that. So those are the ways you can get your comments in. In fact, I need to pull those up so that after Ryan and after the Kelly's What Are You Into, we can access any comments we need to read. We're going to have a question for you for the next one. Okay, let's get to it. I'm just going to get right into it. It's Ryan time. I talked to him just a few minutes ago. Here he is, my cousin, Ryan Ferguson of Ferguson Films and Cavalier. Everybody go to Ryan and have him film your wedding. Get married again, have him film your wedding. Fake, you know what? If you're not even in a relationship, have him film a fake wedding. He crushes it. Good luck getting him on the books because I know he's pretty busy this summer, so maybe schedule it in advance for next year. Here's Ryan. Ryan, when I think of summer, I think of you, me, Scott Ferguson. So I had to call you because it's kind of summer kickoff. I feel like it's been nice here in Lexington, but it looks like it's been nice in Spokane too.
Yeah, this has been this weekend, I think, was probably the weekend of like, oh, this is what summer is. Do you also think of Dr. Pepper? I think of Dr. Pepper.
Yes, of course I do. I think of Dr. Pepper. I really think of Diet Dr. Pepper in Graham's backyard. That is a big one. My mom actually
I feel like
this is weird. My mom just sent me a Dr. Pepper.
Go ahead.
My mom just sent me a Dr. Pepper Instagram reel and said, "Does this make you think of Graham's backyard?" And I was like, "That's yes." And then Ryan mentioned it later that night.
That's funny. We should think of A&W cream soda. I feel like it was more of the drink we wanted, but Dr. Pepper was always what was there. So that's what we drank more often than not.
Ferg, I still love it. I haven't had a Dr. Pepper in forever, but if I have one, I really still like it. It's ingrained in my brain as a good drink.
Yeah, no, it is a good drink. It's a very good drink. Summertime, man.
You quit on soda. I'm impressed by it. It's one of the things I have a really hard time quitting, and I'm impressed that you did.
Well, don't tell my wife, but I still have it anytime I go to a fast food restaurant or any sort of restaurant at all. I get a Diet Coke. And then I drink, it's Zevia. It's kind of the same idea. It tastes like it. If you close your eyes, you think you were drinking Diet Coke. So, but I didn't fully quit on it.
You mentioned fast food. I have 3 things I want to mention with you real quick because I don't want to keep you all night. You've got kids that are going to bed. You brought up something with Subway sandwiches that I had not thought of. I don't know why I had thought of this. I brought it up to my wife. She said, "Tell Ryan, thank you." She's thought this for a while with you. You used to be a big Subway guy. I love Subway, but you came to realize something the other day that has kind of rattled my cages a bit.
Here's the thing. I love Subway, and I don't know. This was the first time. I haven't been to Subway in a long time. But I see a commercial on TV or some ad or whatever that they have these new wraps, and I like wraps. And it was a honey mustard wrap. And I was like, "Oh, that sounds pretty good." So I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to win. I'm going to go into Subway. I'm going to get one of these honey mustard wraps. So I walk in and I go up to the lady and I go, "I'd like a honey mustard wrap." And she goes, "Great. What cheese do you want?" And it kind of took me back, and I was like, oh, I kind of forgot the whole game here, which is that I have to make the sandwich. And I panicked. I ended up picking Pepper Jack, which was the right choice, but I didn't know, there was other decisions I made along the way. I started thinking, I kept looking at the picture. There was a picture of one hanging like on signage, and I was like, oh, well, what lettuce did they use? They use spinach or regular? And I was like, is there olives on there? I can't tell. But I thought, well, I don't know. You tell me what it should be on it, right? You guys are the restaurant. You made the recipe.
Yeah.
Make it for me. I don't know. I realize that for some people that is a joy, is to build your own sandwich, get it exactly how you like it. And I used to be that person, but I found myself like kind of frustrated that I had to do the recipe building when I'm here for you to do that, right?
Totally. And you're a Jimmy John's guy now, right?
Yeah, I really like, I mean, it's embarrassing, but I'm trying to eat a little healthier. And so I need a fast food option that doesn't make me feel too much, like an obese person. And so I get the unwich from Jimmy John's, which isn't their bread, it's their lettuce wrap sandwich, and it's really good. And so that's kind of been my go-to if I'm going to get something in the sandwich variety. I go to Jimmy John's, and that's just hey, I'll take a number 7, and then maybe I want to add something to it like some Jimmy's mustard. But other than that, they hand me the sandwich, and there it is.
Well, it's great because when you get the sandwich at Jimmy John's, you tell them if you want to add something. They don't ask about it, and that's how it works. See, I think one of the things is when you and I were going to Subway a lot when we were many years ago, we didn't have a Jimmy John's where we lived. And so Subway was our option for sandwiches.
Right.
So that was what it was. And then Jimmy John's shows up and we're ordering just regular sandwiches. I think to go back to Subway can be a bit alarming. But my wife was with you. She goes, look, I've seen it a lot where I see something on a commercial and I want to get it from Subway. And then they start asking me questions and I think, well, I don't want it anymore. I just wanted the item. So they need to have that at places like, I had mentioned to you, like Ahmad Pizza, Blaze Pizza, these kind of places where there's the sneeze guard in between you and the food. There does need to be a menu that you just say an item, they make it, and if you don't have to worry about building it. Because I do think Subway is good, but I can see how there's frustration there.
Yeah, and it wasn't terrible. The sandwich I got was not terrible, but I just kept second-guessing my decision. Should I have put olives on this? Maybe ranch would have added a different spice. And perhaps if it was something that I was like, I'm going to make this a regular in my routine, then I could figure those things out. But when it's hey, you're going to market to me, and the marketing's going to work, and I'm going to buy it, you better have the idea of like, this is what is going to taste the best. Because what if I go in there and I decide, you know what, I'm going to throw some jalapenos on there. So, well, that would be good. But whatever, ranch, right? And I taste it. This tastes terrible. Well, yeah, because it wasn't ever meant to be on the sandwich. So you got to have the option. I agree with you. Maud is a great example. Give me a full menu.
Yep.
I can go, that's the one I want. And then just make it for me. Maybe I'll add, maybe I won't. And have a build your own as an option. But Subway's gone too far. I mean, they are not gone too far, but they're too far into the have it your way, right? Is that their slogan? That's somebody else's slogan.
Who's supposed to have it your way? That's
have it your way.
Who's supposed to have it your way? Because I guarantee you it wasn't have it your way. Have it your way was Burger King. There's never been a time there's never been a time I've gone to Burger King and been like, okay, I want
build your own sandwich.
Yeah, they're like, what kind of buns do you want? You're like, I want 2 top halves. I want sesame seeds on top and bottom. Like, have it your way really should have been stolen by Subway when Subway rolled into town.
Yeah.
Because you just get it one way.
True.
And you know what? Now we want Subway to be more like old school Burger King. I want you to have your Whopper and just make it for me. I'll be waiting for you at the end.
I felt a crisis in myself because I was like, is this just an old person thing? Like if somebody were to criticize me heavily for this, I wouldn't necessarily try to defend myself. I don't know. Like, yes, I understand why the freedom of building your own thing sounds really great, but maybe I just got too many other things in my life that I care about. I just don't have time to care about what the best ingredients for the sandwich is. You figure it out, do it in a lab, put it together, and then give it to me. And I'll decide if it's good or not, right?
Yeah, and I can already hear the people. If I was to put this, it's always fun when I put weird clips up on social media, people who don't listen to the podcast, but it ends up in the algorithm somehow, and they immediately respond with like, this is what you're arguing about. And I think, that's what this whole podcast is. I'm not going to sit here and talk about politics, besides the fact that I was laughing that Kenny Beefus is anti-bumper sticker. I am too, and I saw a billion of them today driving around after Kenny mentioned them. I'm not going to sit here and talk politics with you. I'm not going to sit here and do that. So yeah, we're going to argue about fast foods. Now, you made food at home today. You made burgers for the fam. And I've got to ask you, because we are Blackstone boys, we love our griddles. I know there was a bit of concern, not concern, just you were wondering how a burger would taste on a griddle because we've grown up our whole lives with burgers on the grill. You made them tonight. How do you feel the Blackstone does for the people who might still be in that griddle mind space trying to figure out what they want and don't want? How did it do with the burgers?
This was my third or fourth time. Last year I had a knockoff, a smoker, a fake Traeger that broke, of course. And so I took it back and I haven't replaced it, but that's what I did all my burgers and steaks on. And then breakfast was primarily the Blackstone's job. And so the smoker takes 45 minutes to do a burger and it's slower, but it never had that situation where the burger started to get burnt and kind of shrivel up, and kind of curve. And so I've never done it. And so I was a little bit nervous about it. Frozen patties, of course, not the I think that's great if you want to spend the time to buy the meat and do the whole thing.
I don't think it's great.
Frozen burgers
I don't
are
think
fine.
it's
They
great.
taste some. I'm putting a bunch of stuff on it anyways,
Yeah.
So I was the third time doing it. I kept flipping. Anyways, they turned out great. They turned out really good tonight.
Okay, good.
And so I'm a big fan. Sitting in the grease, it all just sits there. And I think I told you I didn't do it tonight, but the last time I did it, I cooked hot dogs, and those babies just rolled around in that hamburger grease. And it might have been the best flavored hot dog I've ever had. Just sitting there cooking in the hamburger grease. It was delicious.
Now, you said, okay, because again, there are going to be people who are grilling. People might have got a Blackstone. Maybe they're getting them this weekend for Father's Day, and they're going to look at a burger and it's going to be different. Did you say you flipped it a lot, and was that something that helped?
Somebody told me I'm not I wouldn't ever profess to be like a grill person. As obvious, I'm not a cook. Food person based off our last conversation.
True.
You tell me what I should eat. You know what I mean? At Subway. So, but somebody told me like every time you flip the patty on like a traditional grill, you're losing all those juices. They're just dripping out. Yeah. And so the perfect burger is cooked or is only flipped once. You cook it for 7 minutes on one side and flip it 7 on the other, whatever it is. So that's kind of how I've always thought about cooking burgers. And maybe that's what you're still supposed to do. But what I've experimented with tonight on the Blackstone was the juice isn't going anywhere. It's all just sitting right there. So why don't I just keep flipping it to avoid either of the sides getting too crispy, getting too, well done. So I just kept flipping it. I probably flipped it maybe 3 or 4 times, nothing crazy. And I had a little temperature gauge and waited till it got to 165 or 170. And I got rid of it. And, man, they were delicious. They were juicy. They were flavorful. It was Costco patties, so they're thick and, meaty.
Thick and meaty burgers, man. I do love a thick and meaty burger.
What else can you ask for?
I will say this. Your dad is the best hamburger griller out there. And so you come from a home that made top-tier burgers. So the fact that you like the Blackstone ones coming from Dan Ferguson's backyard is a big shout-out to the Blackstone because you've experienced the best home-grilled burger.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's also like my dad. It's one of those he wouldn't be the guy that would always be talking about, do the meats this way and researching but his burgers were always delicious. And he got a smoker a couple years ago, and now he's doing ribs and tri-tip. And I'm like, oh man. He's got. So hopefully I'll figure it out. I don't know. I don't care. I'll tell you what I don't care enough for is that if dinner's going to take more than an hour to cook. No, thank you. I'm happy to eat your brisket that you've made, that you spent 15 hours smoking, but I'm not interested in cooking it.
Could you
know
imagine?
What I mean? That's too much work for food.
Could you imagine our children, if with the ages your kids are and now where Olivia's at, if you're telling them to wait because you have to wait for the smoker to finish their meal?
We got a couple more hours, guys.
They would. Your house would be a revolution would take place. Finally,
I'm talking.
Oh no! Are you talking about just you're planning ahead and you don't want to spend all afternoon sitting there?
Well, like somebody was telling me, I got a brisket. It's a 16-hour roast or something. I woke up at 3 a.m. to get it started. I thought, for dinner? What is the matter with you?
Right
now, thank you.
You're on your way to be there though, because you are revolutionizing your backyard, and I think you're going to add the thing I'm going to be more jealous of than anything. Are you planning on adding a TV at some point to the backyard?
Yeah,
maybe,
yes,
hopefully.
But I don't have a real covered space.
Oh.
So a TV that I put, I've looked into it a little bit. I have a TV, like a TV that has just made it through all of my son throwing things. He's broken multiple, but this one's made it through, and it's just sitting in the garage. And so I'm contemplating doing something with it. What I used to have in my house was a stand that was mobile. You could move it around, and I kind of, pulled a Gramps and Jimmy rigged something so that it had a mount on it, so you could mount the TV and just you put the stand where you want it and then mount the TV. And so I'm thinking about something like that so that I can put it actually in the garage at the end of the night or the off season.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a cool like covered patio where like the TV can just live and be totally fine. I think they make like covers for it. So I'm still looking to, but yes, I need some kind of entertainment, outdoor living. That's really what I'm getting. That's what I'm going for. You know what I mean? Live outside.
You've got a pool, an outdoor pool. It's not an in-ground one, but you got a really nice looking outdoor pool that you're putting lights in. Like you're creating a great space for the family, which I really appreciate, to stay in the backyard. And we grew up in Gramps and Graham's backyard, loving it. So the fact that you're kind of carrying that tradition on is awesome. I told you this earlier today, and I think it is the number one improvement I need in the world. I need all electronics to get waterproofed, period. Everything that's electronic, I need it waterproofed. I don't know what that takes. I'm not an inventor, so don't come knocking at my door and say, well, you can't. I don't care. I don't care how you do it.
Figure it out.
Figure it out. And so, because the TVs need to be waterproof, everything needs to be waterproof. We get rain, we get water everywhere. By this time in our lives, we didn't get flying carts. Just give me a waterproof television, for crying out loud.
Yeah. The problem is not only figure out how to waterproof it, but figure out how to waterproof it and don't charge me a cent more than you charge me for a regular one.
Yeah.
Because I'm not interested in spending $3,000 on one that's, high knit and waterproof. No. Just whatever the normal Best Buy TV is, just make it so it can withstand some rain.
Correct. Just add waterproofing to electronics. I told you today I was at my in-laws pool, and I want to be on my phone because I'm just with my son and I'm just throwing him around. I'm bored. I want to be attached to my phone always. But I'm afraid to bring my phone into the pool because I'm going to drop it and now I'm out of phone. Just Apple. Waterproof the dang thing.
Now hold on here, because you're kind of sounding a little bit old. I don't know what phone you have, but I'm pretty sure they've been waterproof.
But are you going to risk it? Are you going to risk it? Have you gone in the pool and been like, okay, I saw Marcus Brownlee or whatever his name is. He said it's waterproof. I'm not going in the pool.
Apple said it's waterproof. Bro, I throw my pole. The last year I sent you guys a Marco Polo. I was recording it while I jumped into my pool with my phone and went underwater. And everything worked out just fine. That was like an iPhone 13 or something like that. Now it's a 15. I mean, I don't know which iPhone you have, but if it's like an iPhone 4, you're probably in trouble. Yeah. I think you probably are fine with being
for a lot of reasons. Also, the fact that when you send a text, it takes an iPhone 4. It takes you about 7 minutes to open the texting app.
Yeah, that's right. Are you still on a BlackBerry?
Yeah, I'm still on my BlackBerry Pro.
You're gonna have problems in the water.
I got my BlackBerry Pro. All right, Ferg, go enjoy the night. Thank you for taking time. I'm glad you got the burgers on the Blackstone. We both agree, and this is a shout out to a memo to anyone who gets getting a Blackstone this summer. Burgers on the Blackstone do not just have to be smash burgers. They can be any kind of burger.
Agreed.
You will. Yeah. They will come out nice. I also love putting the buns on the side and let them crisp up a little bit.
That was the other thing. Yes.
I like that.
And we didn't talk about it, but at the same time I'm cooking burgers, my wife wanted chopped up vegetables and chicken skewer things that were all cooked. And I had that going on the right side.
Yeah.
I will say that you were the one that convinced me to get a Blackstone, and I had already had the smoker.
Yeah.
I don't know why this is turning into a commercial for a Blackstone, but I would say even if you already if you have a grill or a smoker, invest in a Blackstone because it's amazing. And I mean, the best thing for me is breakfast. I do pancakes, French toast, eggs every day. It feels like in the summer.
I would go so far as to say, if you have a Blackstone, get 3 more.
Maybe get another one. And then you could cook multiple things at once.
Use the promo code Ferguson Films, all one word, and get yourself 3 more Blackstones. And you know what? You're not going to get a discount, but maybe Blackstone will be like, what is Ferguson Films? And they'll come find you and you can shoot commercials for them or something.
Yeah, 100%. All
right,
so I think it's worth it.
Enjoy the night. Happy kickoff to summer. I'm excited to have you on a lot more during summer, and enjoy the evening.
All right, sounds good, man.
There he was, my cousin, one of my absolute best friends. My best man in my wedding, along with Kenny. There he is, Ryan Ferguson. Thank you. Okay, the question I ask you, are we just old men with the Subway thing? Does that bother anybody else, or is that just an old man thing? Because it is rather weird when you see the commercials during the NBA playoffs or whatever it might be, and you get hooked on something, you go order it, and then they ask you a lot of questions about it. And you go, wait a second, what? No, I'm asking you for this, and I've already checked out. I'm so deep into my timeline on Instagram, I don't even know what question you just asked me. I'm already down here at the end. I've already picked out my chips, and I know what drink I'm going to get. What were you asking me about? You were asking me about bread? That's at the very beginning of the line. Let's do some Kelly's What Are You Into?
Kelly's What Are You Into?
It's coming quickly, and I'm excited for it. Baby Woods is on the horizon. I mean, really, we're at any day. I mentioned this on the podcast on Monday. It's an any day situation. And what I'm into, we're getting that room together. I've done very little, but I've done some putting things together, putting together some dressers, putting together, making sure that the monitor is on the wall and everything's set up there, moving some stuff around for my wife. But she has got the baby's room looking elite. And we're at the point now where when you walk in, there's not clothes on the floor that my wife was sorting through to figure out which ones we're keeping for Woods and which ones were going up for sale or getting donated. We now, you can walk in and you just see his room, and it's weird seeing it and realizing, oh yeah, here it comes. Another one of these munchkins is on the horizon. And now we play the game. Is he going to be like his sister Olivia, or is he going to be straight out of the depths of despair like his brother Huck? And that's the game we now sit and wait and play, because we are in this holding pattern of, are we about to have the best year of our life next year, or are we going to wish there was a fast forward, a simulate 1 year button in this game of life? And we'll see. Huck, if you're listening to this in the future, you were the worst for the first year of your life. I probably love you to death now whenever you're listening to this. Olivia, you're my girl. You're always going to be my favorite. Sorry, boys, but you just are. And you were great as a kid. She was a wonderful baby. Huck just came out ready to be angry. So now we just wait, right? That's the fun part of it. It's like, what kind of personality are you going to have? Your room has a great personality. Huck, it's the basketball room. Olivia had like animals, kind of an animal themed room. Huck had, Huck made us so tired. He had no theme. His theme was survival. And then now his room now is the movie Cars. A lot of Lightning McQueen. The man loves himself a monster truck. The man loves himself a vehicle. So he's got cars all over. And my main man Woods is going to get the basketball room. He's got the basketball prints are up. I think my wife is ordering some kind of rug that's a basketball court. So who knows? Will he love hoops? Man, I hope so. I still hope all my kids love hoops. Can we just get to the freaking comments already? Kelly's What Are You Into was my kid's room. Very excited for Woods. Less than a month away for that. Whew! Life's going to change. Try to keep the podcast as regular as possible when that gets here. By the way, for those of you who enjoy the podcast and support it, thank you. Patreon.com/Sean Widmer Podcast. For those of you who are supporting this podcast, keeping it going, making it so that I can make phone calls, making it so that I can still have this podcast hosted the way it is and ran the way it is. Thank you. And this weekend, you're going to get a bonus episode. For those of you who subscribe, you are going to get an extended episode on Saturday. I don't know if it's going to be just me, if there's going to be a guest, but I know there's some topics I got to get off my chest that are just going to be exclusive for the Patreon members. Let's do some comments, shall we? We go to Spotify, where we find Yvonne commenting on Monday's episode, and she says, that would have been a great game to watch. Was great to hear the kids. The baby shower looked cute, at least the one pic I saw of Anna. Yeah, the UK Oregon State baseball game was a great one to watch, Yvonne. It was a great one to watch. It was very fun. I've thought about it a lot this week. And yeah, Anna's baby shower, I think, was a big time. I think she had a really good time in getting celebrated, as she should, for making it 8 months of misery being pregnant. It seems like it sucks. Roberta said this over on Sean'sLife.com. You know that I get games for newlyweds and have for years. Okay, I'm going to interject real quick. Yeah, Roberta, Ann and I play the games that you got us for our wedding. Yes, you got us a handful of games. They are great. I actually believe you got us, I don't think you know if you got us Skip-Bo, but I think you did. I know you got us Uno. I'm trying to remember the games you got us because there's a couple we play a lot that you got us. You either got us Skip-Bo or Yahtzee or anyways. Yeah, you got us games and we use them a lot. Roberta said this. Let me restart. You know that I get games for newlyweds and have for years. Uno has always been a staple of that game basket. I may have to include Skip-Bo from now on too. You know, Yahtzee always gets into the mix. Mark and I spent many years as poor married youngsters really getting to know one another over games of backgammon. Plus, it makes it easy to throw together a game night with friends when you have some basics. My next batch goes out Saturday. And then I need to work on Emma's. I know. Jay from the Jay and Kevin Show, his daughter's getting married. Crazy. I'm so excited about that. And Roberta, backgammon. What is it about that game that is wonderful for young married couples? I know my mom and dad played it as a young married couple. Ann and I played the heck out of it as a young married couple. Backgammon rules. It seems very old, and it still seems very good. I love that game. Backgammon is a home run. And yeah, now that I read your message, you did give us Yahtzee, which is probably our most played game throughout our marriage. Yahtzee is awesome. The only part of Yahtzee that stinks in our house, my wife doesn't want to do any of the math. So when we get done with the game, she just hands me her card and I add up a couple sheets of paper because I do love math. And so I just nerd out and I sit there and I calculate all the scores and then I lose every time. And I can't blame the mathematician because it was me. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Again, if you want to comment for Fridays, let us know. Are you bothered by the thing, Subway? Are you bothered? Otherwise, if you want to just send in any kind of comment, question, shout out, promotion, promote something. I don't care what it is. Ask a question. We read the comments at the end of every episode, so you can do that right now by going to Sean'sLife.com. The easiest way to do it, Sean'sLife.com. Big comment section right there. And send in your question, comment, concern, whatever it may be. Critique the episode. We always love that as well. And if you want to get your comment read at the very beginning, go to iTunes, leave a 5-star review on the podcast, and whatever your comment is there, we read that to kick off the episode. Thanks for listening.